Hello everyone and welcome back here to a brand new video of Tuning Dutchy. I hope you guys are gonna enjoy this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you like it. Now, today's video is actually going about the changes I've made so far on the Chevrolet Matisse because we know actually there's a lot of maintenance to go. But besides that, I'm also gonna tell you guys what problem do I face currently. So this is a very unknown problem, and I have never ever seen that. So I'm gonna explain this in very short words. There's some plopping sound going on coming from the intake, actually. So it doesn't matter if I have a short cold air intake or a long cold air intake. In both matter of ways, doesn't matter, the plopping sound continues. So 2 weeks after I did the valve clearance, since then actually the plopping sound was already beginning, but on a very, very simple phase. So right now it's already very heavy and it's plopping not 2 times the second, but maybe 5 times the second, which is gonna worry me a bit more. But the most crazy thing, what happened 2 days ago, is that my car didn't start in 2 times. No, my car did start in 3 times. But it did not just start. My car didn't run on 3 cylinders. It did run not on 2 cylinders, but it sounded like 2.5. So there's something going on, or with the ignition, or at least with fuel, or we have something going on with air. These three things are important to complete the combustion. So I'm gonna talk to you guys what I've done. So first thing of all, which actually is quite obvious, is the spark plugs. Now these ones were coming from my car where I already faced the problem. And as you guys can see, this is completely white. Definitely not how it should look like. This is, I can see, I could tell 2 things, or less fuel, or at least the engine is getting too hot. Also, you can see the outer ring is black, and in my opinion, that means we have lots of oil used. That actually counts for all the 3 cylinders. Now, that spark plug was from cylinder number 3. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't actually look good to me because they are not very old. They have maybe, let's say, not even 800 kilometers on it, and that's not much. That's very less. So we have to investigate what's going on more than that. So I already replaced the spark plugs, and it seems like it's not a problem because the plopping sound continues. So the other thing we have, if we have the ignition, is the coil pack and of course spark plug cables. And I changed them actually with the ones I still had laying over here, which also did no magic. Problem is still the same. The only thing that I have left is the timing belt. If that's not going to work, we know that it's not the ignition system. I did that, and I already took away the timing, so I had my timing belt on probably 15 degrees before top dead center, and I took it back to 0 degrees top dead center, so I was very sure that the intake valves could close properly. Now this also did not give me the solution, which means it's not the ignition. Then of course I actually go to the next most likely thing, which is fuel. Now, I mean, the fuel pumps and fuel filters can go bad very quickly or very easily. You don't have to do much for it. So what I've bought is the fuel filter. However, I walk already against something, and my old fuel filter is, I think, never ever been replaced since my car actually existed on this world and came from the fabric. Because 1, completely rusty, and 2, I mean, my car already has 100,000 kilometers on it, so not 2 or 300,000. So it already has some rust on it on this short kind of period. So I can replace the fuel filter because I bought that already. I only can change that once I'm at my uncle's house. So it has to wait before I can do that. Now I will do first, obviously, the fuel filter before I move on to the injectors or the fuel pump itself. I mean, both of them could be also the problem. However, I cleaned the fuel injectors at my uncle's house. So I don't think if you clean fuel injectors, that all that mess goes out. I don't think that that will cause a problem. So, cleaning fuel injectors normal-wise, so I should actually be improving stuff. And I can tell I have some improved performance because I feel my car is actually a little bit more aggressive when I step on a throttle. So I'm not very sure if it's the injectors. Which leaves me only to one thing left, because I hear that my fuel pump is working correctly, and I don't think it's the fuel filter, because then I had more issues than that. It could be, but the chance is very low. Then I had a little bit more kilometers on it in order that I have a failed fuel filter. So the only thing that I could imagine what's going on here is that my intake valves are not closing properly. So what happens then is that too much air is entering the combustion chamber and is already ignited too early. So with too early, I mean the intake valves are not closed yet. And if it's not closed, but the explosion inside the combustion chamber is already done and happened and completed, which means I could hear the sound via the intake manifold, which is in this case that plopping sound. It appears a lot of times behind each other and pretty unregularly. So unregularly sounds to me not like an EGR valve or something like that, because that is also connected to the intake manifold. But I personally think that this problem has something to do with the intake valves. Could that be possible? Definitely. It could be possible. I give this a 70% chance that this would be the problem, but also I would not give that percentage. Why? Simple, actually. Because I already did the valve clearance 3 times. One time it failed, second time it failed as well, and the third time it actually succeeded. Until today, I don't hear clicking noises or whatever. So for that, with this specific reason, I cannot actually say it's the intake valves or exhaust valves. The engine sounds healthy in front, but if the car starts in 3 times and my exhaust sound like a 2.5 cylinder engine, does not really sound healthy to me. So we have to investigate definitely a little bit more further in that to see what's going on exactly, what's causing the plopping sound, because I think personally that this has something to do, if it's not the ignition, something with air or fuel related. I think personally fuel. And why do I think that? The car can breathe very easily. So these spark plugs, what I showed you guys, are performance spark plugs. They are much better and have a higher heat because they are pulse spark plugs, because they have a point in the center, instead of nickel. So these spark plugs have heat 9 and the factory spark plugs have heat 5. It's a big difference, yes, but that would not mean that my spark plugs would look like this. A normal combustion would not look like this. So it can be the fuel injector, fuel filter, or fuel pump. But besides that, guys, I also have good news, and actually very good news, which I'm gonna show you guys once I have turned around the camera. So I don't know if you guys remember this one, but that's the AMR300. And I have decided to work on this instead of the AMR500. The AMR500 gives me a little bit too much boost and is not built for my engine, because the AMR500 supercharger is actually meant for 1 liter engines up to 2.2 liters, and my engine is 0.8. And I only can push 50% throttle, and then my engine stops at 75 horsepower, because I could not measure it actually more accurate. So it could be more, it could be less, I don't know. So that was a real rough measuring, from 52 horsepower bone stock to 75. It's quite much for an untuned 0.8 liters 3-cylinder. But anyways, what I'm going to show you guys over here is we had 2 problems on this thing, which I, on the AMR500, actually had only one if I would let the AMR500 run properly, which is the AMR500 had way too much boost. That means that I had increased the pulley size. On the AMR300, what you guys see here, I don't have to increase the pulley size, I just have to change them, because you guys will definitely see this. Now, if you guys, as you guys can see, this one is definitely not turning very straight. This one is bent. And you guys can already see that if you see at the casting and the pulley itself. I mean, space between here is much less than over here. Yes, it does work. Is it the good way to put a 4PK serpentine belt on here? Nah, it's not. It's not really a good idea. So let's order that one. But guys, don't forget that was not the only problem that I had. The other thing that I had also was the oil issue. Now, what did I have done with that? Because I already talked about it pretty late. That was the most... Well, the most crazy part. Now, the thing is, the AMR300 has 2 filling holes. So it has this one over here, which is the 12 screw, and the imbus over here. Now, of course, the screw over here, I don't know, but the threads are probably heavily damaged, and we have at least to do something about this, which I did with some Teflon tape. I can tell you guys that definitely did the job. It's well sealed right now, and as you guys have seen just a moment ago, it's laying like so, so the oil can actually try to drip out. So I can see and confirm if this one is leaking, and it's not. So the leakage is probably fixed. And I already have turned this, and normal-wise when I turned this, and without that Teflon tape, it was leaking as hell. So it's not anymore. Okay, so besides the oil leak that's fixed, we need a new pulley. Once that's done, the AMR300 is back in business again. So, also, once I was working on it, I was thinking, you know what, let's make some gaskets. There's already one on it, which is not on this side, of course, but on the other side. And, well, it looks like I did a good job over here. And yes, guys, this is gasket material. So the only thing I have to do now is buy a pulley from Joe Blow Superchargers. That Joe Blow is he is actually specialized in AMR300 and AMR500 supercharger setups, and also with throttle bodies and all that, if you guys don't know. And if you guys maybe have an AMR300 or maybe the AMR500, but do you have maybe some stuff that you need for it, especially gaskets or something else like pulleys, visit Joe Blow Superchargers. And yeah, you guys can see it for yourself. That's the only online shop where you actually can buy the pulleys, because these are really a headache to get. And that's just because the inner size. The inner size actually to put on a shaft is 13 millimeters, which is on the AMR500 15 millimeters. It's a headache because you cannot get them anywhere besides Joe Blow Superchargers. Now, the only thing I have to do is taking out this gasket over here with my scissors. I mean, this is just carton. Taking this one out, putting it on, and putting actually the flange back on, which is hardened plastic. And well, I mean, that's actually that. Once that's done, supercharger is back in business again. I already checked the oil. Oil level is pretty good. However, it was leaking. But yeah, the oil was actually looking pretty good. So that's actually the updates that I got for you guys. So, I mean, there are still, of course, things coming onto our way, and I definitely can say the new battery that I got in my car, it's spinning fast, spinning good. So far now, I don't have starting issues at this point, but still I heard a plopping sound. So we have to figure out what's going on there and what causes the issue really. I think it's going to be the intake valves, but I keep that actually is the last problem. I just don't hope it is, because it's going to be a headache to get those Allen bolts out. I mean, I already took them sometimes out, and the more I'm gonna take them out, the bigger the chances that I'm gonna break them. So that's actually what's currently going on. And yeah, I mean, for later on, I suspect that the AMR300 is back in business instead of the AMR500, which produces too much boost. The reason why I put the AMR300 back instead of AMR500 is actually very easy. It's not too difficult. The reason behind this is that getting another ECU for my car, or chip tuning, or doing something for the stock ECU is not possible. There's no protocol in the Siemens series D42 ECUs, so that's going to be a big headache to do, and that gives me actually already enough reasons to continue with the AMR300 and make the boost on that. And if I want to increase boost, I can also go with a smaller pulley size, right? So, overdrive. Anyways, guys, this was Tuning Dutchy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, I mean, there are still lots of things coming onto our way, because there are still things have to be fixed. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you guys like. Again, give this video a like. If you didn't like the video, then give it a dislike. Whatever your choice is. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I don't think you want to miss anything out on this channel, because I still have some exciting things to come up. I see you guys the next time. Thanks for watching.